It's precisely 6:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Sabrina Zawahir. The headlines. The UK Minister of State for South Asia, Tariq Ahmed, says Sri Lanka's programme on human rights is showing a high progress. The President requests Baron Ahmed to provide an opportunity to hold discussions with Sri Lanka's diaspora in the UK. Minister Amaravira points out there would not have been a dollar issue if cultivation drive and setting up of local industries continued. Central Bank says it expects to achieve an economic growth of 5% this year. The Global Authorised Economic Operator project will be implemented in the country. And in world news, a global report says millions are dying from drug-resistant infections. And in sports news, Australia top ICC test rankings after Ashes win. Now the local news in detail. The UK Minister of State for South Asia and the Commonwealth, Tariq Ahmed, Baron Ahmed of Wimbledon, says that Sri Lanka's programme on human rights is showing a high progress. He pointed out Sri Lanka's issues on human rights can be addressed by following a methodology to achieve aims and objectives practically and in a strong manner. Minister Ahmed mentioned this when he met President Gotabaya Rajapaksa this morning at the Presidential Secretariat. The President requested him to support Sri Lanka to overcome technical challenges and to reach renewable energy objectives. Responding to the request, he assured to look into it and give all necessary support as soon as he returned to the country. He also pledged to explore possibilities to enhance cooperation in the economic sector. The government aims to create an environment where people can live as one community by solving all issues. The President expressed his willingness to work with understanding with Sri Lanka's diaspora in the UK and requested him to provide an opportunity to hold discussions with them in this regard. Minister Mahinda Amaravira says there would have not been a dollar issue in the country if cultivation drive and setting up of local industries launched between 1970 and 1977 were continued. Taking part in the adjournment debate on the President's policy statement in Parliament today, he said government aims to distribute benefits of development equally among the people. MP Sarath Fonseca said the present political culture should be changed to develop the country. He said the 20th Amendment is not beneficial to the country. Minister Vasudevan Nayakkara said an education system suitable to launch industrial products would be introduced. MP Iran Vikramaratne said government has failed to find solutions to cost of living issues. State Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara said education policy should not be changed every 5 years. He said government has paid attention on exporting technology. State Minister Nalaka Gudiheva said the President has introduced a development policy that suits the country. Central Bank says it expects to achieve an economic growth of 5% this year. During media briefing today, the bank disclosed that there was an economic growth of 4% last year. Remittances from immigrant workers were minimum during the second half of last year. The bank requested them to send money to the country only through proper channels. Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Niwad Cabral, said the government is capable of managing present challenges. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing local news, the Authorised Economic Operator project, which is in use worldwide, will be implemented in the country. The aim is to expand the green channel and fast track for importers selected by the customs. It will be implemented under 2 phases. It will help to minimize time and expenditure during the import and export process. It will also pave the way for the country to move up in International Ease of Doing Business Index. In commemoration of the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between Sri Lanka and Japan, the Foreign Ministry and Embassy of Japan jointly organized a press conference at Sasakawa Center yesterday. Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Peiris in his remarks stated Japan has always extended assistance which fits the requirements of Sri Lanka. Ambassador Mizusaki Hideki said that Japan will always remember former President Jaya Jayawardena kindly offered support for Japan's post-war return to the international community, and Sri Lanka extended warm assistance to Japan in the aftermath of the Great East Japan earthquake in 2011. Foreign Secretary Admiral Professor Jayantha Columbage stated that this is the first time Foreign Ministry, in collaboration with a Colombo-based diplomatic mission, is undertaking an outreach program focused on the local community in rural areas in commemorate to such a landmark event. The Attorney General's Department today informed the Court of Appeal that the prosecution will consent to release Attorney-at-Law Hejaz Hizbullah on bail if the defence makes an application for bail at Puttalam High Court on the 28th of January. President's counsel Romesh De Silva, appearing for Hejaz Hizbullah, informed the court that in the interest of his client, he would agree to a settlement. Colombo High Court trial at bar has concluded hearing of evidence in the case against former Inspector General of Police Pujit Jasundara over his criminal negligence of duty by failing to prevent the Easter Sunday terror attacks despite receiving intelligence information in advance. The case was taken up before High Court judges Namal Balale, Aditya Patabandi and Mohammad Irashdin this morning. The judge bench will deliver the decision on February 18th. With that, we conclude the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Employees' Compensation Act will be amended. The aim is to update benefits received by the employees who become victims of accidents while in service. The Cabinet has approved the proposal. The present compensation of 550,000 rupees in an event of death will be increased up to 2 million rupees. The compensation for a permanent disability will be increased 550,000 to 2 million rupees. The compensation for a temporary disability will be increased from 5,500 rupees to 47,500 rupees. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
In Watchlight, Anuradhapura to Vaunia section of the northern track length of 120 kilometers will be closed for 5 months for major upgrades from March 1st. All trains will operate only up to Anuradhapura during this period. A railway spokesman said this section will be upgraded in keeping with modern standards at a cost of $92 million. That came to you in Watchlight. Next up is the World News.
Coming up, World News.
The headlines of the World News. A global report says millions are dying from drug-resistant infections. Authorities say an oil spill off the Peruvian coast has caused an ecological disaster. Ghislaine Maxwell seeks retrial in sex abuse case. Now the World News in detail. More than 1.2 million people died worldwide in 2019 from infections caused by bacteria resistant to antibiotics, according to the largest study of the issue to date. This is more than the annual death toll from malaria or AIDS. The report says poorer countries are worst affected, but antimicrobial resistance threatens everyone's health. Urgent investment in new drugs and using current ones more wisely are recommended to protect against it. Authorities have said an oil spill off the Peruvian coast has caused an ecological disaster. The La Pampere refinery has leaked over 6,000 barrels of oil after a tanker was hit by waves linked to Tonga's volcanic eruption on Saturday. Authorities have sealed off 3 beaches damaged by the spill and say they have discovered scores of dead animals covered in oil. Ghislaine Maxwell has officially requested a retrial weeks after she was convicted on sexual abuse charges. The 60-year-old was found guilty of recruiting and trafficking young girls to be sexually abused by the late American Jeffrey Epstein. She has yet to be sentenced and faces up to 65 years in jail. The retrial request comes after a jury in the case told media that he used his own experience of being sexually abused to influence jurors reaching a verdict. With that, we conclude the world news. Prior to concluding, the headlines of the world news once again. A global report says millions are dying from drug-resistant infections. Authorities say an oil spill off the Peruvian coast has caused an ecological disaster. Ghislaine Maxwell seeks retrial in sex abuse case. With that, we conclude the world news.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Defence Secretary General Kamal Gunaratne ceremonially inaugurated the Faculty of Criminal Justice of the Kutalavala Defence University in Ratmalana yesterday. The ceremony saw the opening of the Stage 2 of the KDU. The newly established faculty is the 11th faculty of the KDU, which is fast becoming a leading seat of higher education in the country. That was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Taking a look at the sports news, first is cricket. Pakistan Cricket Board has hired the services of Ranjan Madugalla and Roshan Mahanama as match referees for the upcoming Pakistan Super League matches to be played in Pakistan. The 7th edition of the PCL is scheduled to be played in Karachi and Lahore between January 27th and February 27th. Australia has overtaken India and New Zealand to reclaim the number 1 ICC Test ranking spot after their 4-0 Ashes win at home, pushing India down to 3rd spot. South Africa's 2-1 win over India at home took them 1 spot up to 5th place, whereas New Zealand retained their 2nd position. Taking a look at tennis, 4th seed Stefanos Tsitsipas overcame Argentina's Sebastian Baez in 4 sets to reach the 3rd round of the Australian Open in Melbourne. The 23-year-old Greek lost a 2nd set tie-break but went on to win 7-6, 6-7, 6-3, 6-4 in 3 hours, 22 minutes on Margaret Court Arena. That ends Sports News.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Axis Logistics Park Ekala Private Limited has won a bid to develop a 36-acre logistics and business park mixed development project in Ekala, Jaila from the Urban Development Authority. The selected bidder is expected to invest $200 million in the mixed development project. The project is expected to generate 2,000 to 3,000 employment opportunities and is marked for completion in 2023 to 2024. That was Business News.
Business News, Sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Economic news, courtesy of...
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The insurance industry was able to achieve a growth of 6.19% in terms of overall gross written premium during the third quarter of 2021, recording an increase of 9,366 million rupees when compared to the same period in the year 2020. The GWP for long-term insurance and general insurance business was 160,649 million rupees compared to the third quarter of 2020, amounting to 151,283 million rupees. That was economic news.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibility. That's why we promise to give you the best returns and guarantee on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by ICRA Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act No. 42 of 2011.
The weather report.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. Met Department says mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island. There is a possibility of ground frost at some places in the Nuwara district in the early hours of morning. Misty conditions can be expected at some places in western, northwestern, central and Sabaragama provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts during morning. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. The UK Minister of State for South Asia, Tariq Ahmed, says Sri Lanka's programme on human rights is showing a high progress. The President requests Baron Ahmed to provide an opportunity to hold discussions with Sri Lanka's diaspora in the UK. Minister Amaravira points out there would not have been a dollar issue if cultivation drive and setting up of local industries continued. Central Bank says it expects to achieve an economic growth of 5% this year. The Global Authorized Economic Operator project will be implemented in the country. With that, we conclude the news.